So hello everyone, I'm Marcello La Rosa. I'm a professor of information systems at the University of Melbourne, where I lead a team of 15 academics, and we specifically focus on research on process mining. So my favorite sessions were those where we brought together the different communities. For example, the panel today, or the panel or keynote yesterday or on Monday. We have this nice opportunity here of bringing together in the same event 4 different communities. We have, of course, the academics, we have the vendors, but we also have potential end users and consultants. And this is the very first time, at least in my experience, that all these different communities are sharing ideas and synergizing together in a single event. And this is priceless to me as an academic, but also as an explorer of the area of process mining, and one that definitely is pushing the community forward, is promoting process mining. So process mining for me is excitement, is rediscovering BPM, is evidence-based BPM. I've been playing in the BPM area from an academic viewpoint for about 15 years. But I myself, every day, I get into process mining more and more. I rediscover BPM. Is in a way BPM upside down. BPM starts from the discovery. Now we are starting from the monitoring of business processes. We learn from that, and based on evidence, we can traverse the BPM life cycle with a new entry point. And an evidence-based BPM is, of course, very interesting, very appealing to industry and practitioners as well, because you start with the facts. You don't start with the feelings, with the assumptions or hypotheses. So it is very easy to convey a message, to sell it to industry and to practitioners. And it leads to results. It leads to value that is easily measurable and easily quantifiable. So I just love it, yes. So I have a problem. I have people say that I have an infinite level of ambition, and this is partly reflected in this conference. And I found other people that are even worse than me, like Bill van der Aalst. And together we thought of organizing something that could bring together academics in process mining. That was the original idea. But then we started elaborating on that idea, and we say we needed something more. We needed to make a strong statement out there that process mining exists, is a discipline on its own, and it is sufficiently different than other areas like data mining or machine learning or even BPM if you wish. It is really an area that is across data science on the one hand, and so AI, data mining, machine learning, and on the other hand, process science, so BPM, Lean, Six Sigma, process re-engineering, process automation, and so on. But it's an area that stands on its own. And this is also reflected on the name of the conference. We did explore different ideas, like International Conference on Process Analytics, or International Conference on Process Intelligence. But then we realized that if we really wanted to make a strong statement about this community, to be sufficiently different from the others, we needed to start by taking the risk. And the risk was to call it International Conference on Process Mining. But we could not ever expect this great uptake. When we started, we were aiming at something that we would call a success at about 100, 150 participants. Bill told me today that we got 420 registrations just for the ICPM conference. We know that there are other conferences running in parallel. This is beyond our expectations. And it is beyond our expectations also the fact that we managed to bring together all these different cohorts in a single event. So we want to repeat it. And because of this infinite level of ambition, we want to do it even better next year. So next year, ICPM will be in Padua, beautiful location in Italy, and we hope we will do even better. I think we will run a survey. You know, we are BPM guys, so it's all about incremental but continuous improvement. And so we will run a survey with all participants and learn from their feedback what can be fine-tuned. What I would like to see personally is even more interactions between the different communities. And you have to foster this, for example, by creating events like the panel we had today, where these different communities have an opportunity to talk and exchange ideas. So we will, I think, work a bit more into this direction, and I have the pleasure to be one of the industry chairs for next year. So it will be one of my duties to look specifically into this. Well, perhaps not much on the academic side, because this year I was also one of the PC chairs. So we coordinated, Mike, Giuseppe and myself, we coordinated the academic program. So I had to read pretty much all the papers and I was familiar with the work. But what I really learned is that there is a lot of energy in the broader community, not just looking at the academics. And I wasn't really fully aware of that. I had a perception. I mean, I'm looking at all the activities that companies like Celonis and others are doing, but seeing all these many vendors all in one place, surrounded by consultants, end users and academics, really show me that there's lots of energy and everyone is excited about this area and that we can do more. And maybe next year, instead of 500, it's 5,000. Yes. So as you know, we have been developing for quite a while an open source initiative called Apromore. This started as a research prototype and over time became stronger, the interest from industry, that we decided to spin off. So I've always been very inclined into open. Of course, there are different levels of openness. There is a first level, which is, giving away a freeware. There is a second level, which is opening up the algorithm, so essentially showing how the platform works from the inside and the ability to extend, modify, and customize that software. It doesn't always have to be like that. So it doesn't have to be all open source, though clearly I'm inviting all vendors to consider that, but I can imagine what the answer will be. But it is important that everyone, as the field matures, and we've observed it in other software areas, that each of us contributes a bit back to the community. And this has the first benefit that the community will be more fostered, more incentivized to learn about what process mining is, because software tools act as a great vehicle to achieve that. Some things that you come and you give me a 20 minutes or even an hour lecture on process mining, something else is that I try by myself and I see it with my students. There is really a leap forward in their learning process when they can actually play with a tool. So the more people can be put in front of a tool and play even with basic process mining techniques, the better it is to raise the global awareness of process mining. And then, of course, there is a return on investment for those who take this duty, because the more people are interested, the more people could potentially adopt your tool. So I'm definitely a strong supporter of open functionality in the broader term, and of course even better of open source. See, we could have asked the same question 20 years ago about BPM. It is about continuous improvement, and in a world that is more and more moving towards evidence-based, factual decision-making, process mining works as an enabling technology. It's not the only one, but it's definitely an important one. And so I believe that there are certain students, like for example IT students, and that includes all the way from computer science through to data science, information systems, as well as business students, that at least would be ideal candidates for getting knowledge about process mining. In fact, I believe that this type of students should have in their toolbox a strong knowledge of process mining techniques that they can reuse, and some of them, like the data scientists, even adapt. Well, we talked about this today, and clearly I thought about these 4 areas. We talked about auditing and compliance, and this was a bit provoking intentionally, because this is already happening, but perhaps should happen quicker and much more extensively. But I think personally that the next big challenges would be to offer something that is concrete and reliable in the area of predictive and prescriptive monitoring. And I see that commercial tools are starting to make the first shy steps in this direction, some more, some less, but it's definitely a direction to explore. And again, if we do this together, we can achieve better results. Then the next big wave would be what we called robotic process mining. So the intersection between process mining on the one end and robotic process automation on the other end. And it is more than what's happening so far. I mean, as we said today at the panel, it is important that process mining can be used as a concrete tool to estimate the ROI of a potential RPA investment. Sorry for too many acronyms. But I think process mining can do more, and rather than becoming an appendix of RPA, it could play a central role, because at the moment, most of the costs in an RPA deployment or project go into identifying, automating, deploying, and maintaining the bots. And I think process mining can help with identifying what can be automated, in automatically automating the bots or training the bots, and there we can also inject some improvement, and finally to maintain them by identifying when it's time to retrain them, to reprogram them, because there have been drifts in the way the organization performs, or because there are new policies and we need to adapt these bots. And then maybe 5 years from now, the blockchain will be a mature technology that we can use to realize this bold idea of interorganizational process mining. But that's another story. I think alliances are important, and we saw it at the conference that whenever we join forces, we can clearly achieve better and higher, and the alliance is a great vehicle of doing that. I can understand, because I've been part of many alliances during my academic career, that this has a clear return on investment for the vendors. I've brought to some of the software vendors many customers simply because my students were using their tool. Me as an academic, when it comes to teaching, I try to remain independent, meaning exposing my students to a range of tools and then they can form their own idea. It's not my objective to push for a specific tool. But what I see as an advantage, coming back to the other question before, is that when students are put in front of a tool, they really learn much better, much deeper. So this fosters the increase of the awareness for process mining. So I'm very supportive of alliances. People loving each other. It's a chain. I mean, if you want the definition that I've grown up with and that we use in our book is a chain of activities and decisions that are done by a number of actors in order to achieve a goal, and that goal is adding value to customers. So when we say, and I've heard from somebody that process is the sexiest word of the coming decade, I of course agree with that, but it has also already been so. It's just that process mining now is helping us to make that more apparent. It's about the value that the customer can achieve, and it is also the value that the stakeholders of the organizations can achieve. And both of them are achieved through processes. So the best way is to intervene the best way in order to increase such value is to intervene into these processes. And process mining gives us the right technology as of today to do that in a very agile and evidence-based manner.